he's paired underneath, which I would prefer him to be, rather obviously than have if he has a made low. Again, barring the unlikely catching two low cards with my last two cards, I'm the best I could hope to do is get $16 out of the middle, the 32 that's in the middle right now, and get back any money I put in the pot. So I'm laying a pretty big price. I'm having to put in, if he bets two more streets, I'm going to have to put in 20 bucks in order to just take half of this 32. And I'd say my hand is just strong enough to call with queens that can improve, and certainly that's a great card for me. But he catches a great card because now it's almost certain that he has the low half locked up. And it's nice to catch a flush here, but with him having four low cards up, there's such a high percentage chance that he has a low hand, which gets half the pot, that there's no point in me raising. It is possible, though not probable, that he has some kind of diamond flush, and he just decides to check back with no high. I did have three good low cards showing, so his check, and I started with a low card up, so there's a reasonable chance I was going low in that spot. So his river check is reasonable. His starting hand is not reasonable. He started with King 9-5, King 4-5, something like that. Yeah, this guy's just clicking buttons, rolling the dice. More power to him. Okay, he brings it in for the full amount. Not recommended. This usually means a pair, but coming from him it could really mean anything. I'm in very good shape with his four, if he has a pair of fours, his most likely pair being dead, and I have a higher pair. So I'm going to play this as though it's the best hand. He calls, I pair my four, make hidden two pair, and then on 6th Street I catch what seems like an irrelevant card to me, but at least it did kill one of the 10s that he could draw to, so I bet in standard. Here he raises, and I wouldn't necessarily defend. Well, I would call the raise, although a lot of people will just fold hands like King 10-4 or something when they're up against a wheel card to bring it in, because there's just so many hands. Basically, because like I said, it's not too hard for me to outplay him. But this guy, I'm just gonna have to take the hands further because he's got no qualms about bluffing every street and no starting hand selection. So I catch a blank pretty much on 4th and call. A blank which now makes kings less likely for him to have on 5th Street, and I call, and I against some players I would raise here, although it doesn't make that much sense. And now when he checks back 6th Street, I just have a clear value bet, and we'll see what he had, but could be any number of things. Okay, so here's a powerful hand. In the sense that it has a lot of playing flexibility. When I bring this in, if someone dares to raise me with like a pair of jacks here, I'm going to re-raise, and it's going to be very hard for them to continue if I catch any low card. And a lot of the low cards I catch, really other than a 3 or a deuce, are going to be very threatening to their actual chances of winning the high. That card, that's one of them. He re-raises, he's representing jacks up, but so I just decided to let him stay in the lead. And when I make two pair, whether he's got it or he doesn't, I've got lots and lots of backdoor possibilities. Yeah, I have lots of draws. He just has a pair of 7s, and ends up sucking out. But he was very lucky to be even drawing. He was drawing pretty live against me. But even so, he was an underdog. Studied is a very interesting game. Lots of chances to bluff. What you mainly need to keep in mind, though, is that all the power lies in the hands of the low hands that improve early, and the reason is the reverse implied odds that high hands have to face when they don't know what you have and whether you have half the pot locked up. They're pretty much at your mercy in terms of you getting free cards, or them vastly overplaying their hands, paying off your two pair because you could be betting a low hand, etc., etc. Here's a great example of that problem. If you were to try to raise me with that 10 up with a pair of 10s and I re-raise him, the problem for him is I can have 3 low cards to a 4, or I can have buried kings, I can have 3 flush, etc. And there's a lot of different ways for my board to get scary and bluff him out, or a lot of ways for it to develop in one way but have me actually improving in a different way. And it induces a lot of mistakes that are unavoidable when you don't know, when your opponent has such a wide and different kind of range, different possibilities for their range. So like here's an example of a bet he should just never make with 9-7. I'm representing a strong low, but in fact I have a pair and a low hand, and make a concealed full house, and that's the kind of stuff that you run into, but he made a crucial mistake on 4th Street, jamming it up with what he thought was the best high hand, a pair of 8s. I mean, if I have 4 cards to a low, I most likely have at least a backdoor straight draw, and probably a really maybe possibly an open ender, or 4 cards to a low with an ace. I'm a substantial favorite over that hand, and he's just basically going crazy with nothing. So there you have it. That's a perfect case study in why you shouldn't be playing aggressively when you have a clearly high only hand and your opponent has 2 low cards up on 4th Street. I think I'm going to